Hi, my name is Deborah Weisz, and I'm the trombone instructor for Middle School Jazz Academy here at Jazz at Lincoln Center. Today, I'd like to talk about air and how we use it when we're playing a wind instrument. Now, even if you're not a trombone player, this will work. I want to preface what I'm going to talk about by saying how I'm influenced in my own playing and my own teaching about air. There was a marvelous tuba player by the name of Arnold Jacobs, and if you've never heard of this name, I highly suggest you investigate him further. So Arnold Jacobs would talk about how he used air as keeping it natural to how we breathe, and a couple of things that he would have his students do to help do that. So one of them I'm going to demonstrate with you right now, and it is called the finger breath. So put your hand in front of your face like so, and imagine that you're going to suck your knuckle in all the way down into the bottom of your belly. All right, and breathing in like that. And then when you exhale, you're going to imagine that you're blowing it all the way across the room. All right, try it together with me. Here we go. Let's do one more. So we call that the finger breath. Now, as you're doing it, I know it can be a little bit silly to do it, but it's something I want you to also think about, making room in your body for this breath. And that's how it relates to posture and how we play our instruments. Now, while we're doing this finger breath, you should bring an awareness to what it feels like to take in that breath and making room for that breath in your body. And that's where it comes to posture, not just how we're holding our instrument, but how we get the air into our bodies in the first place. We want to be open and relaxed. Whether you're sitting or whether you're standing, I want you to be aware if there's any tension in your body and just adjust to make room for that breath. And as you're doing this, remember your posture is yours. Don't compare yourself to anyone else's. If it feels open and relaxed and you're getting a lot of air in, then that's what your posture should be like. Now, I've used the word remember a couple of times. Arnold Jacobs was fond of saying, remember the feeling of that breath. So we have finger breath, making room in our body for all of this air, and also remembering the feeling of that breath. So when I pick up my horn to play a note, I'm thinking of that feeling, even without doing a finger breath before playing a note. So let's try that together. Maybe playing a concert B flat somewhere in the middle of your register. Remember the feeling of that breath. Now, along with remembering the feeling of my breath, I'm going to add one more concept for you to think about. Arnold Jacobs spoke about that he played two instruments, two tubas, the one in his head and the one that he held in his hands. And he said that the one he held in his hands was a mirror for the one in his head. So he really was hearing his sound and playing his instrument up here. And he called that mirroring. So we bring on our breath with our finger breath. We're remembering the feeling of that breath. And we're going to play that same note, that B flat. And in your mind, I'd like you to imagine the most beautiful sound that you can possibly imagine. Holding that thought into your mind, remember the feeling of your breath. Take a moment. Hear it in your mind again. Remember the feeling of your breath. Now, the reason we keep doing this is really there's no limit to your imagination about how beautiful your sound can be. And if you support that with the finger breath, remembering the feeling of that breath in your body, and then hearing that sound and mirroring it on your horn, you will hopefully find that it's easier to play with a full, beautiful sound and never really have challenge with the air. So remember the feeling of your breath and finger breath. I like to use these little catchphrases when I'm working with my students. So for those of you teachers out there working with your students, imagine doing that with your students just as they're playing, just a little reminder. Remember the feeling of the breath, finger breath, mirror. Those are some great little expressions that might help your students find a way to breathe very easily on their instruments too.